Hey guys, so if you didn't know already what this video is about, you probably know now. I'm Reisuka, a real-life paleontologist, and I'm here to tell you all about real-life dinosaurs and show you how they actually lived. Now, it all started 250 million years ago when dinosaurs started to evolve on Earth. All of Earth's life can really be condensed into three major eras, and those are the Paleozoic, the Mesozoic, and the Cenozoic. Most dinosaurs, pretty much all of them except living birds, lived during the Mesozoic era, and that can be broken down into three time periods. Those are the Triassic, Jurassic, and the Cretaceous period. Now, come take a look at my buddy Allosaurus over here. You probably already know about teeth and what that means for the diet of different dinosaurs. But what kind of dinosaur is Allosaurus? Well, he's a theropod dinosaur. And theropod dinosaurs were mostly carnivorous. They're really closely related to birds. They're actually the group of dinosaurs that evolved into living birds, which are living dinosaurs. So we can tell that Allosaurus is a theropod not only by the shape of his teeth, but also by the shape of the sinuses in his skull. So you can see that the holes in his skull are pretty wide, right? They're pretty much taking up a lot of air in his skull. And that's because these dinosaurs, again, were closely related to birds and evolved into them, and birds have hollow bones. And some theropods like Velociraptor even did too. So it makes sense that they would have these big sinus holes in their skull to start to kind of hollow the skull out and make it lighter. Now, let's go start identifying some more bones and get you closer to becoming a paleontologist. So come take a look at this massive Triceratops skull over here. Now, this is something that's been showcased in the museum, but it's not something that we would just go out into the field and break open a rock and the skull is gonna pop out. This would take months of digging and carefully piecing together different parts of the Triceratops skull. But something you might not know is that museums actually put these things together, not just using a lot of time and experts and machines to put them together, but they also sometimes use casts to try to fill out like areas of the dinosaur that aren't fully found in the field. So this looks pretty real to me, and you can tell that based on the glossiness of the bone and the level of fracturing in the bone. But if we come over here, there are some dinosaurs that are rarer than Triceratops where maybe we only find part of their skull. And that's where museums try to put together a cast of what we think the dinosaur looks like based on what we found in the field. So if you look at these, you can see that they're not very glossy, and that's how you can tell that this is probably a cast and not made of real bone. And the fracturing doesn't really go that deep. It's kind of aesthetic. Now, let me take you over here and I'll show you what dinosaur bones look like when we find them out in the wild. Now, let me show you what we would actually find when we're out in the field as paleontologists. And you can see that there's kind of different pieces of bone being put together on wire armatures. That's more what we would find in real life because, you know, these fossils are millions of years old, so maybe they biodegraded, maybe they got lost for different reasons. And we as paleontologists, our job is to pick up all of the pieces and solve these puzzles and figure out what these dinosaurs were. For example, maybe we find a tooth from this T-Rex or a piece of bone from this T-Rex and it was washed out by a river further down, like 500 feet down from the big fossil. Well, how can we identify whether that bone really belongs to this T-Rex or a different one or a completely different species of dinosaur? One thing we would look for is the color, the soil composition, and maybe even whether it had some kind of disease or diagnostic feature that would be present in the bone and in the original specimen, the T-Rex here in this example that we're looking at. Something that is cool that you can see in this T-Rex is that above the teeth, there are a bunch of little perforations along the nose, and those might be injuries from the horns of a Triceratops that was defending itself against this animal. So this is a crazy piece of preservation here. This is a plesiosaurus, and what's unique about this plesiosaurus is that it actually still has a baby inside its womb. Now, this is where the baby is located, and if you weren't a paleontologist, you might think like, well, isn't that something that the plesiosaurus just ate? It looks like a jumble of bones. But us paleontologists can tell that this was a baby. First of all, because we can see that there's little plesiosaur bones in here that can't belong to this bigger individual. So we know that there was another plesiosaurus inside. I can see some little rib bones and some little tail and toe bones. And the other thing is that it's not located in the stomach area of this individual, it's located lower down in the womb area. So it looks like this plesiosaur was about to give birth to a little baby. And we found a lot of fossils like this, even though they're really rare, of plesiosaurs with babies inside. So we think it's pretty likely that they did give live birth. Now, this is a fully reconstructed plesiosaurus. And not only is this thing hugely massive and cool, but there's something in its stomach, and it's not a baby this time. It's something even weirder. These are actually gastroliths. So plesiosaurs would swallow gastroliths to help it digest food, and it would also swallow them to give it more weight to help it dive down into the water, because this was a fully marine animal. What's crazy about plesiosaurus is it actually was not a dinosaur. It's more closely related to snakes and reptiles. Now, I know a lot of you guys ask about if dragons were real, because dragons look like dinosaurs, right? Well, there's actually been some breaking research. If you look over here, we have a dragon skull. Now, of course, I'm absolutely messing with you guys. This is Parasaurolophus, basically Ducky from Land Before Time. It's a duck-billed dinosaur, so it was an herbivore, and it would kind of graze on plants that lived in the water, and it was sort of semi-aquatic. Now here we have a dinosaur named Natalie. Now Natalie is from the Jurassic period, and she's a sauropod dinosaur, meaning she's a long-necked dinosaur. She's closely related to dinosaurs like Diplodocus. Now what's really cool about Natalie is she is the only dinosaur in the world on display right now that is green. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, when Natalie's skeleton was turned into bone over time through the fossilization process, her bones were infilled with a mineral called celadonite. And that's what's really unique about this fossil, because you can see green mixed in with the original soil color all throughout her skeleton. Now behind me we have Stegosaurus. Like I said before, Stegosaurus is from the Jurassic period, so it would have never been with a T-Rex. But you might be wondering, why did Stegosaurus have these huge plates on its back? They were probably for defense, right? Well, actually, that's not what us paleontologists think. We think they were probably used for thermoregulation, which is basically controlling the temperature of your body. And it needed to do this because this was a big animal and it was trying not to overheat. So basically these plates, they add a lot of surface area to the body without adding a lot of volume, so it can shoot and dissipate heat from the body of the Stegosaurus out into the environment. And then, of course, it would still have a weapon on its tail called the thagomizer, and that basically had 4 really deadly daggers on the back of its tail. You might have heard of it from the comic The Far Side. It got really popular in that comic. So yeah, this is a pretty deadly dinosaur, but the plates probably weren't for defense. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this amazing tour at the LA Museum of Natural History. If you guys have any other cool video concepts you want to share with me, come chat with me. And until then, this paleontologist is signing off. See you next time.